everyone, welcome to Youth Business Show. I'm your host, Untitled Chapter. I'm the founder and the chairman of Youth Business Society. The whole mission of our show is to inspire and empower you to unleash your fullest potential consistently and lead your field. This is episode 1, and today we're going to talk about a topic which I believe is very much underestimated, under-discussed, but is absolutely significant in the field of leadership. We're going to talk about a leadership trait which is essential for you to be personally successful and especially to be a great leader. And the principle is accountability. I know it is a bit deep for the first episode, but I want to make sure the first episode itself is going to give some deep knowledge that's going to inspire you and really help you to feed your mind with wisdom. So accountability, what it really means? What's accountability, huh? You must have heard the word. Be accountable. People say you got to be accountable. What does it really mean to be accountable? What it means to be accountable is, my friends, accountability is your willingness to take ownership, to perform your commitment until you complete it. Here's the key word: ownership. Most people, unfortunately, don't take ownership for the actions and the results they create. I mean, think about it. Most people perform in life, they take actions, they get certain results, and then when something doesn't go according to the way they want it to go, or as you expect it to go, they simply start to look around and see who to be blamed, who to be complained, who I'm going to complain right now. How many people have you seen when something goes off, take real ownership and say, okay, what did I do for this problem to take place? That, my friend, is accountability. That is accountability, and let me tell you why we need accountability. Accountability helps you to gain clarity. Whereas people who don't take accountability, they're in a complete confusion state. For example, think about it. You're doing a project and there's a certain mistake that takes place, right? Now you have done a mistake. Think about the two scenarios that can happen. You can look at that and you can say, well, your team is responsible for the mistake that happened. Or maybe you didn't have enough time to properly put into the project you were doing. You complain about everything else, but you're not really addressing the problem. Think about the second scenario. You make the mistake, now you sit and you properly think about, what can I have done better? Why did this happen? You go to people who you can get feedback. What happened? The whole process of taking accountability helps you to gain clarity, and that clarity helps you to make better decisions the next time you execute it. Most people are in a confused state today because they don't really look in the mirror and properly ask self-questions about when things goes off. And now, if that's accountability, why do you think accountability is needed in leadership? Just think about, you're working for a leader who comes every day, and when things don't go right, he or she completely comes and blame you, complains about things. Are you going to be motivated and inspired to work for such a kind of leader? Are you? I'm not, for sure. Think about the second leader who comes in, when things don't go all right, he or she sits down and get into an open conversation with you. Right? He asks questions about, why did this happen? Why we couldn't have not done it better in a better way? That creates an open conversation, right? And that conversation leads you to find answers. My friends, questions lead you to answers. Statements never going to lead you to answers. Statements closes the deal. And we talk about leadership to be more open-minded. The way to be open-minded, when you be accountable, you are going to be open-minded. So think about what kind of leader you want to work to. The person who takes accountability, right? So accountability, the opposite is the blaming game. We're in a world where most people are complaining. I'm just so, it's sad to see that most people are complaining today. I mean, just think about it. If your business fails, you complain about the government, you complain about the economy. But if you really look at the successful people, they're the people who take control of the things they're in control of. Well, you can't control the economy. You can't control how the government is going to take decisions. You can't control about many of the environmental factors that you're dealing with. You can't control them, but you have absolute control in the effort you put in, the enthusiasm you bring in. People who take accountability realize this stuff. And just think about it. When you're really blaming, you're not really addressing the issue, right? But when you take accountability, you're putting your focus into solving the problem, which is the key. Now you're starting to go deep. You can't solve a problem by not going deep into it. You can't learn anything without going deep into it. Accountability gives you the mindset to go deep and address the problem. And guys, it's really sad to see most team members just think about a business partnership. I'm pretty sure you're the business community gonna have some business partnership in the future. Just take their whole example where two business partners gonna absolutely are in a conflict. What they're doing is they're blaming each other. How much progress do you think they're gonna have? I mean, what kind of progress that whole conversation is gonna have? I'm not saying you shouldn't have conflicts. You need to have debates. You need to have conflicts. You need to have great arguments in a great company, but that argument needs to be on the problem, not on the personal level. People who don't take accountability, they bring on arguments which is very personal. People who are accountable, they bring arguments that address the issue. And those arguments indeed helps you to find better answers, and that leads you to better decisions. Now, we are talking about, one of the most misconceptions is like failure is the end of the game. And I gotta tell you, failure is not the end of the game. It is the beginning if you see it as an opportunity, right? But why do some people see failure as an opportunity? And why do some people see failure as the end? Just think about it. A person does something, fails, and what is the first thing they look into? Everybody else who led him to the failure, right? That's what they look into. That's what most average people look into. They don't look in the mirror, they just say, I failed because of him or her, the government, the economy, the marketplace, because the client didn't purchase it. Oh, the people are so bad, and then they're gonna completely stop it, right? That's really sad to see. But think about a person who's accountable. Accountability helps you to evaluate failure. When you fail, it's not because you're a failure. You fail because you did something wrong in the process. Now here's the thing, you can correct it the next time, but the only way you're gonna know what you did wrong is through accountability. Thomas Edison, just think about the person. He's the inventor of the light bulb and many innovations. He's one of the greatest inventors that the history has seen, right? Think about it. Before inventing the light bulb, guys, he had to go through 10,000 failures. Just think about it. 10,000, yes, not 1,000, 10,000. How much do you think the average person would try? 100 tries? 500 tries? 10 tries? Today's world, where we are highly distracted, probably 10 tries would be the limit, right? Most people have. He went to 10,000 tries, and then 10,000 first try, he invented a light bulb. Why do you think that happened? He was persevering. Not just persevering, he was persevering with clarity. And accountability gives you that opportunity to get clarity and persevere with clarity. What most people do is, there are two types of perseverance, guys. So you have blind perseverance, you have perseverance with clarity. When you don't take accountability, what happens is you start to do something and you hit the wall and you complain and you keep running that same wall over and over again. Because you're not really evaluating why you got knocked down. You're not really evaluating what was the cause. Every failure has a cause. Accountability gives you that mindset and that focus to really focus on and go deep and see why this happened. So just think about it. If Thomas Edison didn't take accountability, you think he would go to that 10,000 try? Absolutely not. Now, this is a very important concept, blind perseverance and perseverance with clarity. So when you persevere with clarity, You fail, you learn, evaluate, you learn, and then you go and execute the next time with better learning, with more awareness, with more knowledge than before. And when you do that consistently, at one point in time, you're gonna succeed. Now, going back into that, the start of that whole process was because you took accountability. So when you fail, accountability is the only way you can learn from failure and find out the cause for it. Because when it comes to complaining, you're just gonna complain and point fingers to everybody and not really go deep into the problem itself. I'm not saying, you should blame yourself. One of the misconceptions about accountability is blaming yourself. Blaming yourself is the blaming game. Accountability is not about blaming anybody, guys. It's about reflection. It's not about self-blaming. It's about self-reflection where you get awareness about it. Let me give you an example. When you fail or when you make a mistake, you don't say, I'm done. It was my fault. I don't think I can make it. Now that's blaming. What is it gonna do to you? Are you gonna progress with that kind of thinking? No. Here's how an accountable person think about. I didn't do this right, so what can I do the next time to get it right? You're asking self-questions, and that comes through self-reflection, and the foundation to it is accountability. Accountability helps you to convert failure into an opportunity. Complaining helps you to get that temporary failure and convert it into permanent failure. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is about when it comes to leaders. Accountability is something you can delegate. You can delegate tasks, you can delegate responsibilities, but you just can't delegate accountability. It's in your hand. You're accountable as a leader. I mean, just think about it. If your sales team is missing a target, it's easy to go and complain and blame and punish the sales team, right? But just think as a leader, are you doing what you need to do to inspire your sales team to go and achieve the target? You might complain that sales team is not coming on time, they're not preparing themselves well, they're not focusing well. As a leader, are you doing your job to connect with your sales team? Leader's job is not just to give a target and just wave hands and just let them go free. You gotta let them go free, but you gotta keep that connection going. You gotta connect with your team. You gotta talk with them. You gotta measure progress. If there's some problem they're dealing with, you gotta address to it. Most people, we live in a world where a leader complains that people don't come on time, where that person absolutely is not coming on time. When the leader is not coming on time, you can't complain that your team is not coming on time. When the leader leaves work early, you can't complain that your team needs to leave work early. Remember, the leader sets the example, right? Your team follows the leader by the example the leader sets. If you're setting an example of complaining and blaming, that's exactly what you're going to receive from your team. But if you're going to set the example of accountability, guess what's going to happen? The moment you as a leader become accountable, your team indeed going to be accountable because you're creating an environment of accountability there. One of the biggest questions is, how am I going to make my team accountable? How are you going to make your team accountable is by you being accountable first and creating an environment. When you become accountable, you create an environment where people will hold themselves accountable because the leader is doing it. So when we talk about leadership, you might say, I'm not a leader yet. I don't have an authority or still a job role to be a leader. Here's the thing, my friends. A true leader practices leadership without getting the role. They practice leadership at where they're planted right now. Because the first thing of a leader is to lead yourself. A person who never leads themselves can't really lead somebody else. That's the bottom line. What authority, a job, or title gives is an opportunity for the leader to practice leadership at a wider scope. That means if you're leading yourself right now, or if you're leading a team of 5 people right now, authority and job role gives you the opportunity to lead 100 people, 200 people, 1,000 people. but the principles of leadership are going to remain consistent. Only the scope of at which you're going to practice leadership is going to change. So if you're watching this video and you're saying, no, I'm not a leader yet, hey. You're a leader because you're leading yourself. A job role is going to expand your scope of leadership. So that again, people who take accountability understands the fact that I'm the leader of my life and I got to lead myself. And here's the thing, guys, we live in a world where most people try to fix everything else, but they don't really focus on fixing themselves. The fastest fix you can do is by fixing yourself. A person who tries to fix everything else without fixing themselves, when something goes off, he or she's not going to fix anything else. Because if you can't fix yourself, you can't fix anybody else. When a problem takes place, accountability means the starting point is by looking where you can fix yourself. Here's the thing, if you have not done anything wrong, now you have clarity that you have not done anything wrong. Now it gives you that real opportunity to go and look, okay, now who's responsible? Because now you know that the problem didn't take place from your end. But without knowing the fact that the problem didn't take place from your end, you can't go and put a proper argument to the person who made the mistake. Right? So clarity is the game. Anyway, with that saying, it's time to really wind up this podcast. But before winding up, let me just say and wind up with this thought. So remember, we talk about what accountability is. It's your willingness to take ownership, to perform a commitment till it's completed. So the best example we can come here is the river. Just think about it. What's the objective of the river? To reach the ocean, right? A river flows. No matter what obstacle comes in your way, the river will flow. River will adjust. It'll be flexible, but it will not stop its commitment until it reaches the sea. Be like river. Be the river. Don't let anything stop you. Be accountable and go for your dreams. I'll see you next week with another episode. Take care.